Greetings all, I am Seminary Scholar, and this is my channel, where I discuss the beliefs of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. To preface, I have attended the Church's Seminary and Institute programs, and I am going to be referring to official church sources, so hopefully this will be an accurate and informed resource. Right now, I'm working on my Exploring the Articles of Faith series, where I discuss the articles of faith that we have in our church. These are just 13 succinct statements that are meant to introduce our more basic beliefs. This week, we are discussing the 10th article of faith, which reads, "We believe in the literal gathering of Israel and in the restoration of the 10 tribes, that Zion, the New Jerusalem, will be built upon the American continent, that Christ will reign personally upon the earth, that the earth will be renewed and receive its paradisical glory." This article has a lot of different things going on, but I'm going to try and break them down and try to explain all the different moving pieces to you. Firstly, we're going to talk about the tribes of Israel and the gathering of Israel. Then I'm going to explain Zion a little bit and what that means. Then we're going to talk about the Christ's reign upon the earth and the events surrounding the second coming, which is what's referred to in those last few lines. First, we have the tribes of Israel. Now, to cut a very long story, very, very short, initially, there were 12 tribes of Israel. They split into 2 kingdoms, a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom. There were 10 tribes in the southern kingdom, in fact, the same 10 tribes that are referred to in this article of faith. Those tribes were conquered, and the people were scattered across the land, lost to history. Nobody knows where they went. This is referred to as the scattering of Israel. What we believe the gathering of Israel is we believe it is a 2-part process. That first there will be a spiritual gathering of Israel, and then there will be a physical gathering of Israel. The spiritual gathering of Israel is just missionary work, because as people are converted to the church and as they're baptized and they make covenants, we believe that they are either A, already literal descendants of the Old Testament prophet Israel, or B, they are adopted into the tribes of Israel through the Abrahamic covenant, it's a very central covenant in our church. It'll probably get its own video at some point. Suffice it to say, it is simply a series of two-way promises that God made to Abraham that include the fact that he will be the father of righteousness. But yes, this is the spiritual gathering of Israel. The physical gathering of Israel will occur leading up to and following the second coming of Christ, where the tribes of Israel will once again gather into the lands of their inheritance. Once again, this is a thoroughly complicated subject, but essentially each of the 10 tribes has a specific land that they were appointed in Genesis, and we believe that the tribes will return to those places. Or in the time period of Genesis, I should say. But we believe that they will return physically to those places. All right, so that is the scattering and gathering of Israel in a nutshell. So moving on from that, we have Zion. The first thing you need to know about Zion is that Zion is both a place, a city, and a people. In the Old Testament, Zion is referred to as the pure in heart, or those who are of one heart and one mind, who have no poor among them. And yes, this is idyllic and amazing, but the idea is that Zion is a people. Zion is the kind of people who can live in a perfect world because they are the kind of people who want to have a perfect world and who believe they can make one. So that covers Zion the people. Zion the place, we believe, will be a city on the American continent, specifically in Independence, Missouri. That's a county, not a city, if you were wondering. But we believe there will be a city built there, and that it will be the capital of righteousness in the world, basically the sister city of Jerusalem. And that when Christ comes again, he will reign from Zion, And I don't want to say that's it, because it is something that's very central, and especially in the early days of the church, it was very important. But that is essentially Zion in a nutshell. We believe that there will be a city that is built there, and we believe that it will be a righteous city and the capital of the church. And in a sense, after the second coming, when Christ comes, we believe it will be the capital of the world. And that's what we mean when we say that. Next, we're talking about Christ's personal reign upon the earth. We refer to this time period as the Millennium, a period of 1,000 years when Christ will return. And in this time, there will only be righteous people upon the earth. The events leading up to the second coming will be very tumultuous, and we believe that those who are righteous of any denomination, we don't believe that only members of our church will be saved, but they will be protected in a way that the wicked just won't be. So not necessarily that the wicked are going to be killed, but they're not going to have the protection that they will need because they haven't prepared. And of course, wicked is a highly subjective term. I'm not going to pretend I'm qualified to categorize everyone. I don't really think anyone is. It's really just a matter of between the person and Heavenly Father. No one else really has authority to dictate that. But yes, we believe that Christ will come, and when Christ comes, we believe that the earth will be elevated, that it won't just be that the people on the earth are better, but the earth will be restored, and that it will no longer have all of these things affecting it that are harming it now, and that it will be brought back and be made new and perfect. And then there are many other events connected to the second coming, but I couldn't possibly cover all of those in this video. So that is a rundown of the 10th article of faith. There's a lot going on in there. If you're curious, I suggest you look in the description and take a look at my resources, and they might help you understand a bit better. But that has been Article of Faith number 10. We discussed the tribes of Israel, the gathering and scattering thereof. We discussed the concept of Zion, and Christ's coming and reigning upon the earth, and the earth being restored. I hope this has been helpful to you. If it has, please share, like, subscribe, whatever you're feeling, and I will see you next week.